This is Andi Purewal, Boxing Social in association with Betfred. I'm joined by the new European champion, Jordan Gill, here in Nottingham. Jordan, obviously just recently off the back of your own victory against Karim Guerfi, how are you feeling?
Feeling good. Sounds good to hear. And the new is something that we worked for a long time. So yeah, I'm feeling good.
We will come on to that bout shortly, but obviously just come on to the reason we're here in Nottingham. You're supporting your very good friend Lee Wood as he defends his WBA title against Wood-Conlan. A very noisy crowd today, both Irish and Nottingham contingent in here. What did you make of the atmosphere and what do you expect to see tomorrow night?
Atmosphere was so good. It was unbelievable. Everybody shouting. I think obviously the Nottingham fans were here in the majority, and they was making a noise. And I think that's just a sample of what we're going to get tomorrow night. So yeah, it's really exciting. I think the atmosphere is going to be electric. I think it's going to make for a fantastic night. I think the fight would be fantastic if they had it with no crowd whatsoever. But it's going to raise the game. It's going to make it even more exciting. I think it's going to be a great fight and one that everyone's looking forward to.
I've seen people say that they feel that if Lee's going to be successful, it'll be via stoppage. If Michael's going to be successful, it'll be via points. Is that what you anticipate either way, or can you expect a different outcome?
Everybody said the same thing to me before the Kanzu fight. I remember doing the Before the Bell with Dan Barker and Chris Lloyd on the Matchroom show before the Kanzu fight, and I was like, why is everyone writing off Lee Wood's boxing ability? I said he can win this fight on points if he wanted to, and he was on his way until he knocks him out in the 12th round. So, and it's the same with Conlan as well. I know I've sparred hundreds of rounds with Conlan, and he is strong. He can punch. He's not a feather-fisted fighter. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting fight. I think either fighter, depending on their game plan, depending on their tactics, depending on how they apply themselves, could win this fight in probably any way. But yeah, it's about who applies himself on the night and who does the job.
Jordan, obviously moving away from this and coming on to yourself, reflecting on that victory over Karim Guerfi, a punch from the heavens, as people have called it. Just go back to it, that one knockout, that late stoppage. What was going through your mind in that moment?
Yeah, I mean, it was a shot. It was a shot that I needed in that fight. It was one of the fights that was crazy, and I think that's why the response has been crazy, because it really captured the imagination of the public. It was a fight where everything went wrong for me. I was up against it in the end because I had 2 perforated eardrums, I had a knee injury, I'd been down, I'd won rounds, I'd lost rounds, I was down on the points. I was having to use the ropes to hold myself up because my balance had gone from the perforated eardrums, and it was the case where I was on the ropes, I was defending, I was blocking, I was riding, and I was digging down to the body and picking my own shots out. And in the 8th round, I caught him for a counter right hand because I was watching myself, and I was talking myself through it on the ropes. I was thinking, okay, when he throws his jab, he's dragging that jab. I'm going to land that right hand over the top. I landed it in the 8th, and it weren't quite sweet enough, but it rocked him back on his heels, and I thought then that's the shot I'm going to get him with. So as bad as things got in there, as much as I was down on the cards, as much as everything went wrong for myself, I never once lost hope. I never once felt sorry for myself. I never thought at any point I wasn't going to win this fight. It was just about finding that shot and placing it at the right time with the right power, and I got it in the 9th. And if I didn't get it in the 9th, I was confident that I'd get it in the 10th, the 11th or the 12th.
You mentioned you'd have been confident that you'd have got it later on into the fight. There were some people on social media who thought, because of how the fight was looking, it might have been something for Dave to have considered. I don't know if he did, not to maybe stop the fight for overtoweling. Was there ever any talks about after the fight? Did he say if you didn't stop him then, but he wouldn't have allowed the fight to go on, or was it always, as long as you was kind of in the corner listening to him, he was still going to give you that chance to?
Yeah, it's not something that we've gone into detail to discuss, but it's one of them things. I think what would have pulled me out of the fight first was the swelling on my eye. That was coming up quite quick, that hematoma. So yeah, it was the case where every time I went back to the ropes, or back to the corner, in between the rounds, I was speaking to Dave. I was conscious, and I was very clear. I was very astute, and I was following the instructions it was giving me. These are things that were drilled in the gym week in, week out. So it wasn't like a fluke thing that I was able to defend in the corner and pick shots out. So it was a case where I was clear in my thoughts and clear in my head, but it was the balance that was the issue, and I made that clear to Dave. And that's why it's so important to have such a good relationship with your trainer, where a trainer knows your fighter and the fighter knows a trainer, and they have that understanding, that relationship. And I don't think there's a better example of good coach and fighter relationship than me and Dave in the country. So that's how he managed to get me through that fight and win it, and how I managed to follow instructions and win that fight.
Jordan, just a couple more from me. The wrestling move during the fight, when obviously Karim got you in a headlock and you dropped back and your head's gone straight into the canvas. How significant of a moment was that in the fight, and what do you actually recall of it?
Yeah, it was very significant. I think it's called a DDT, which stands for death drop technique, and I think he knows what he was doing. He seemed to lock me in a headlock and just fall backwards. So yeah, fair play to him. It was a very good move. It was well executed, and he done a good job, and it seemed to have a good effect because in the heat of the moment, it didn't feel like it affected me. I just remember the whole weight of my body landing on my head, and I sort of rolled with it, got up and got back to it, survived the round, and come out for the next round. But when you watch it back, it did look serious. It did look quite dramatic, and it did look like I blacked out for a second. So probably I did, but it's something that people don't understand or take into account is the amount of adrenaline running through your body in that situation in a fight. It will get you up from them sort of situations. Now that's probably how Tyson Fury rose from the ashes against Deontay Wilder, and that's how I done a roly-poly off a DDT and come back and won by knockout.
And Jordan, what next? It seems to be Isaac Glow will not stop calling you out. Is that one which you think could be realistic for your next fight?
I think it's realistic. If there's something else that comes on, I think the EBU, I only just taken my gloves off and the EBU have given me a mandatory. So that could happen. It's not a fight that I need. It's a fight that everybody's calling for. It's a fight that I want. But, it's not a fight that I'll gain anything from, apart from probably, winning the public over more. So, yeah, it could happen. I'm open to it. If the fight makes sense, we'll have it. And if he wants it, I know he's calling for it. But calling for it and doing it is two different things. So we'll see.
Well, Jordan, leave it there now. Leave it to enjoy the rest of your day. I appreciate your time as always, and thanks for speaking to me in Boxing Social.
Cheers, Andy. Thanks, mate.